You know, I always tell people we're much better co-parents, friends, than we were lovers and being married. The truth is with parenting, I don't care how many books you read, whatever experts you talk to, you learn on the job. Like, we don't know shit.
Yeah.
Truly. And I'm still figuring stuff out.
Can't truly understand something until you do it. And same with the clothing brand. I'm like, all right, it should be easy enough. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so much work and so many things that I'm like, based on my past, I'm not good at. So I had a limiting belief in my mind that like, that's not me. But then when I really put 100% effort into it and gone and done something and complete it, then it's just like, oh hell yeah, like that's a win. And it's just gaining my confidence. Right now I've got a bunch of debt, right? I'm kind of just betting it all on this, and this goes back to knowing like I know this is going to succeed. It's just a matter of time.
Well, welcome to the Burn Up Podcast. I'm excited today for two main reasons. Number one, this is our 50th episode of the Burn Up Podcast. So for those of you that have been with me here since the beginning, thank you for your support. For those that have joined along the way, or if this happens to be your very first time seeing this, thank you. And to celebrate this 50th episode, I'm honored to have my son, Adam Nugent, here on my podcast. I've got 4 sons. Cole's my second oldest, and we're going to talk about life, how I've been as a parent and the transformation that I've gone through in our relationship. I feel today he and I have as close a relationship as we've ever had, and it wasn't always like that. You know, what it was like to navigate through divorce and that whole dynamic. And one of the cool things that Cole is getting ready to launch as the recording of this here within the next week or two, his clothing line that he has put so much heart and energy in, and I'm just so excited. Yeah, we're going to talk about that and all the things father-son stuff. So Cole, thanks for being with me today.
Yeah, what's up? Thanks for having me.
And Cole, this is your very, very first podcast.
First one.
Very first one. So we're losing your podcast virginity today.
Yeah, popping my cherry.
Popping your cherry. I love it.
Yeah.
You know, we live here in Salt Lake City. Mm-hmm. And you've been on your own kind of wild transformation over the last several years.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
And, you know, one of the things that I've loved about Cole, this will come out in his clothing line as it launches, and we'll talk more about that. You know, Cole's a vibe. Cole's creative. He has a different energy in the way he carries himself. And it's been so fun to see your transformation, and more importantly, see you step into your authentic self. You know, you and I have had lots of conversations. You know, not only as Cole's dad, I have the honor of, you know, coaching with him. And the transformation that this man has embodied here over the last several months is extremely inspiring. And, you know, we talk about authenticity. And I want, you know, we'll kind of start off with that, but I want to share this. I remember, you know, years ago, we live here in Salt Lake now. There's a suburb of Salt Lake called Holiday where I was raised. We moved out west for several years and moved back to Holiday. Gosh, what year was that? 2015, 2015. So 10 years ago. And you were in 5th grade, 6th grade?
5th grade, yeah.
5th grade. And I remember, you know, Cole always had his own look, didn't kind of fit into a box, always kind of stood out. And back in those days, the clothing line, if you will, everybody was wearing Under Armour. You remember this?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, and I remember it felt like a part of you kind of went away, you know, and you wanting to fit in with the crowd. Then all of a sudden, the creative clothes and the style and the vibe that you have, all of a sudden you were, you know, it was Under Armour, you know. Mm-hmm. And then over time, I think as you started to become yourself and step into yourself, you went back to just your own vibe, your own clothing, you know. But I remember that because you wanted to fit in, you know. And over the last several months, we've talked about authenticity, to be your authentic self. What is that for you?
Well, I think it's super important. I mean, like you mentioned, launching this clothing brand, I think it's super important to stand out, right? And to be your own self, right? Because you see all these clothing brands, most of them are just copy and paste. But I think it's easy to compare yourself to others and to try to fit in that box. But I mean, I feel that you can't really succeed unless you are your authentic self. And if people are going to connect with that, then they will. And if not, then, I mean, you're not for everybody. But also, I think it's important to be authentic, I mean, just for yourself, right?
You know, one of the things that we've talked again about a lot about the cost of being your authentic self is that there are people that are not going to like you. There are people that are going to express opinions. And what's always helped me in my own journey of leaning more and more into my authentic self is understanding that, I mean, let's be honest, everybody's judging everybody. Everybody forms an opinion about everybody, right? And so many times we wear this mask. I would argue, you know, you back the 5th and 6th grade Cole, you know, that was in Under Armour, you were wearing a mask. You were trying to fit in, but you weren't being your authentic self. And this plays out with a lot of people. Me personally, I'm so drawn to men and women, specifically men, right? That put themselves out there, that stand in whatever they believe, even if I don't believe what they believe, even if it's not necessarily a message that I resonate with. What I respect is somebody that's willing to be themselves, knowing that there's going to be hate, there's going to be judgment, there's going to be criticism. And, as I've watched your own transformation of stepping into your authentic self, and it's layered. And what I love about your clothing brand, it's like, the truth is it's not going to be for everybody, right? And you and I've had these conversations about, putting yourself out there, and even on social media and sharing things, it's uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's scary. Yeah.
And I want to honor you. Cole just barely posted his first video about this. And in our conversations, he went out there, he put himself out there. And I want to honor this because you, and I'm going to encourage everybody. We'll put a link in the show notes of where you can follow him, not only personally, but his clothing line on social. But he put himself out there, talked about, school's always been a hard thing for you, right? Being able to focus. You talked about not getting accepted to any school, vulnerable, raw. That's real.
Yeah.
You went on there and you said, fuck, raw, real. And you were just being you. And what was so cool is your very first post, I don't know, you got 7,000 or 8,000 views, you got a lot of engagement, and there were many people that connected in it. And what I feel that so many people connected with are other people that, go to college, that struggle, whatever. And your thing was like, listen, I don't want to get stuck in a dead end job. And to be able to be like, you know what, I'm not going to do this chosen path, if you will, because family have said it or society has said it. I'm going to take a step out. I'm going to take the risk, and I'm going to launch this clothing brand, is brave. And to be open about that entire thing. So to me, that was such an incredible thing of you stepping into your authentic self. And I remember I was literally, you posted this last week. Remember I was on the Peloton and you came in, you're like, the video's done. It's done. And I'm like, post it. And you're like, I don't know. I'm like, dude, do it. And you did it, and you came in, you're like, I did it. And I could just see it in your eyes. Like, holy shit. Like I did this. I really said this. I said all the things. And then the feedback, and and the right people are connecting with your message. And again, your message doesn't have to resonate with everybody. I used to have this delusional belief that everybody, so much of my worth over all the years was tied to how other people saw me. I was constantly wearing a mask. And, with what I've gone through personally and looking at it now, it's like, listen, now I can see, like, I'm going to get judged anyway. So if might as well put energy into just being me versus trying to be somebody else. And as I've watched you over the last year, stand up to your brother Dominic, your older brother, and you two are very different, and he does life a certain way. And I know what it's like with brothers, wanting to please and show up for him, but at the same time, like, there's parts of him that doesn't necessarily resonate with you, and that's okay. And you being able to stand up for yourself and like express things, even if he doesn't agree with you, is uncomfortable. And yet you've continued to do that, and it's been inspiring. And I believe, as I'm watching in your own life, and this would apply to anybody listening to this, is like, confidence is forged in doing uncomfortable things. It's keeping the commitments that we make to ourselves. And I just want to honor the fact that's one of your core values, is authenticity. And you're doing it, and it's scary, and it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But how do you feel now? Like, having posted that video, you're just getting started, but like, how does it feel that you posted that? How do you feel that, that the momentum you've had here just in the last week or so?
It feels good. Yeah, like you said, it's sketchy, right? To be so vulnerable and put yourself out there. But I just have this knowing. I know my brand's going to succeed, right? And it's just a matter of time. So I can feel nervous about it, but deep down, I know I have to do it. So it's not really an option.
Why do you know you have to do it?
Because again, it's just this knowing. I know I'm going to succeed, right? And I know, that's one of my skill sets. Like, we've kind of talked about this, but I'm not an operations guy. I like to be creative. I like to make all the little things and all the little details, right? And that's my strong suit. So that just ties into it. Like, I know that will succeed, and it just has to be delivered in the way that it will be. But yeah, I guess just going back, it feels good, right? It's like the process has started, and now I just got to keep going.
And yet, you know it's going to work out. You like and to me, it's like almost like your soul's calling you to go this direction, right? And it's stepping into the unknown because it's scary. I mean, that's bravery. Bravery is, in spite of fear, choosing to step forward anyway and having this, what others might consider delusional or crazy or inspiring or whatever happens, whatever the emotion is. The reality is, like, you being able to do this already differentiates you from most of the men your age, and I think for me as your dad, and I look at this, I'm like, besides the clothing, I see a young man here just getting started in his career and willing to take the risks, because without any risk, there is no reward. And far too often people play it safe. And there's been seasons of your life that you've played it safe, but yet there's been this fire that's been ignited in you this year. And it's just inspiring to watch you completely transform as you step up into this higher version of yourself, this authentic version of yourself. And, I believe we as men have this, the goal in our life, there's this internal purpose, this internal drive, this thing that we want to go after. I mean, so much of our DNA makeup it's like the hunt there, it's going after goals. It's going after what we want and overcoming the limiting beliefs, the stories we tell ourselves, how we see ourselves. And far too often, way too many men get complacent, get scared, get stuck. And in that stuckness, the feeling less than, or I can't do it, that's where addiction kicks in. That's where we try to numb out. You've had your own experiences with that. You've seen, I'm sure, some of your friends doing that. And the reality is it keeps you stuck. And the only way that you can achieve anything of any greatness in life requires stepping into the fire. My tagline, freedom is in the fire. And, you come back and forth, you're like, freedom's in the fire. And I'm just watching you step into it. I have so much respect for you, and to see you really embody and step into this. And you're doing it. And there's no other way. You can't shortchange this. You have to learn this. You have to earn it. And again, mad props for the example that you're setting.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. So I want to transition real quick and talk about, a topic that comes up a lot. And anytime I post anything around divorce, right? So you were how old when your mom and I got divorced?
14.
14. Mm-hmm. Okay. So what was it like before divorce, going through divorce for you, looking at that? Like, what was that experience like for you?
Well, I mean, before, are you saying just
in
general?
Yeah. In general, or specific about me or your mom or the whole situation? Like, was the writing on the wall? Did you see it? Was it a surprise?
No, I mean, it wasn't a surprise. I mean, growing up, you guys were always arguing, right? I guess I'd see other parents, fitting together. You guys weren't kind of in that group. But I don't know. I mean, I kind of saw it coming, right? You were sleeping on the couch for a while. But I mean, after the divorce, I mean, we've talked about this, and we obviously know now, but you guys, I mean, I had a much better relationship with you and Mom, right? We were seeing you a lot more because during the divorce, I mean, you were always gone, always working. But I think after, yeah, we had a much better relationship. Saw you a lot more. Yeah, I think that also you and Mom are better off separate, right? I think that you guys have a better relationship when you're not together. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong.
No, I mean, that's my belief.
Yeah.
I think everybody would. I know all of your brothers would agree with that. Mm-hmm. I always tell people we're much better co-parents and friends than we were lovers and being married.
Yeah. I think, yeah. I mean, when you tell people about divorce too, everyone's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." But I mean, to me, I was kind of like, well, I mean, it didn't really affect me. If anything, it was just beneficial.
Well, it did affect you. For you, it was better.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And that was a real hard thing for me. I mean, you mentioned sleeping on the couch, and I think it was Dominic. When I had Dominic on the podcast, I think we talked about this, but maybe it was you. I don't know. I was asleep on the couch, and maybe it was you or brother. I can't remember, but I was laying there and came up and woke me up. It's like, hey, can you go somewhere else? And I remember like this, you guys in the family room that was upstairs at their house at the time. And I remember I had this blanket wrapped around me and I was walking away and I'm thinking like, what in the hell am I doing? What example am I setting for my kids? Not only for him, but their friends are there. This is awkward. It was my own little walk of shame, as I kind of walked away, but I had this aha and I'm like, there's this belief society says like, and I can't tell you how many couples I know that stay married for the kids, but they're miserable. They literally, some couples hate each other, but it's like for the kids, we're going to stay together. For the kids, we're going to stay together. And then I recognize like, I've yet to model to my kids what even a healthy relationship is, and so it's interesting that, you share that and I share that like divorce for our family unit, I believe was one of the greatest things that could have happened, especially my relationship with you and your brothers, learning how to show up. I mean, so much of the way that I used to show up, I would, at the time I was morbidly obese, overweight, this extremely disconnected from your mom. And while I was at the house physically, emotionally and mentally, I was checked out and I was projecting, if you remember, I was just always angry, ornery. I would project stuff onto you guys. I had no patience. And it was, and then I started to kind of recognize it, through that process that, again, I was just projecting all of my shit onto you. And that wasn't fair to you. It wasn't intentional. And because inside I was lonely, I was sad, I was depressed, anxious, whatever, a slew of emotions. And I'm just so grateful that, and I had to change and I had to shift and I had to take accountability. And I'm really grateful for the grace and that you guys have had for me. And I think you can attest to this, and for any parents out there that struggle with any sort of disconnection with their kids, this is more to the parents. Like if you want change, you've got to change, and whatever's happened in the past, you could shift. And I'm just grateful that, I made the shifts and the things necessary. And I feel like we have as strong a relationship as any parent and son.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And one of the things too, that I think that's been really powerful that we have as a family unit is the circle of trust. Mm-hmm. And for those of you, I stole that line from Meet the Fockers. I made a commitment to my kids that, and there were a lot of things we were going through the divorce. I'll spare the details here, but it felt like a Jerry Springer show of things that were being said and rumors and da-da-da-da-da. And while I was going through it, I made a commitment to each one of my kids. I'm like, okay, here's the deal. We're going to create this circle of trust. And then within the circle of trust, we promise that we're going to tell the truth always, no matter what it is, and to create a safe place. And I remember, I've told each and every one of you that like, no matter what you've done, you will never get in any more trouble or have any more consequences from me by telling the truth. Now, if you did something that created, that where there needs to be repair because there were still consequences, you're responsible for that, but there wasn't going to be anything additional from me. And then we created this safety thing. And I remember like you guys would start to share stuff and things are going on. And I remember sitting there like, holy shit, what do I do with this? I got to share one funny story. I remember, do you remember that time? Were you guys throwing you and your friends threw hot dogs at some convertible or something?
Yeah, like through the windows, some raw hot dogs, yeah.
And I remember I was trying not to laugh when the cop called and like this, they're just being teenagers or whatever. And it's like, part of me wanted to be like, dude, what are you doing? Which of course I'd still say that. But at the same time, it's like, he told me he got busted. Like that's on him. And, we laugh about that now. But what I love though, in that circle of trust, that's kind of been extended to some of your friends. And your friends have shared things, and it's interesting to see other, I can't tell you how many conversations with your friends or your brother's friends where they share things or show up a certain way that they would never let their parents know or say,
Oh, for sure.
Why do you think that's the case?
Well, I think that, the circle of trust is awesome, right? Because I've seen just with my friends and so many people, like, where their parents are so cutthroat helicopter parents and they're like, oh, you can't do this, can't do this. And then it's almost like they just want to do the opposite and then lie to them. But my friends have always loved you, right? And then coming over here, it's always like, oh yeah, let's go over to Kohl's. You're just fun, but also if they want to have a conversation, like you're always open to do that. And I think just meeting them with no judgment, like that's huge.
Yeah. Yeah, because that was the thing too. Because again, I believe if you have such a rigid parenting style, I had this growing up. I mean, and it's like kids are kids, and it's like if you do something, whatever, whether mom or dad agrees with it or not, like it's the default. You create an environment for people to lie, and then they hide things and do stuff. And I've loved that relationship with us, and understanding that, like, okay, if you're going to do this, which I encourage all parents to do, understand that if you say, hey, you're not going to have additional consequences and things happen, it'd be like, whoo, okay, what do I do with it? I want to share one experience we had. If you remember, this is when we were up on Mile High Drive, the fist fight that you and Dom got in.
Yeah.
So I came home and front door was wide open. A couple of your friends were out there, and I'm like, I think Will was out front.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, they're like, Adam. I'm like, what's going on? They're like, dude, Cole and Dom just got in a huge fight, and Cole ran down the street.
Yeah.
And so I went downstairs and walked into I'm like, to find Dom, and Dom is just fuming, angrier than angry. And then I walk in there in the bathroom, and there was a hole in the wall. Mm-hmm. And I'm pissed, right? I'm like, ugh. And so I'm like, okay, it is what it is, right? And I don't remember the details of what you got in, but like, you were fuming mad, he was fuming mad. And, I sat down with each of you, you guys are just pissed as can be, and then came together. We had a conversation, and independent of each one of you guys, there was so much anger, there was so much frustration built up, but then giving you space just to be able to share. You broke down, Dom broke down, you guys came together, hugged, and it was over. I didn't get mad. I didn't get upset, even though I was pissed. I don't know if you remember this, after it was all said and done, I'm like, okay, now you guys are going to pay to fix this wall or whatever it was. Like, you're going to get this fixed. Mm-hmm. And it was a great exercise for two brothers, if you will, to work their shit out, because stuff comes up. You and I have talked about this. See, growing up in my household, I have three brothers as well. And my dad has a lot of trauma and a lot of, because of his upbringing in a household where both parents were alcoholics and he was the go-between. So like, anytime there was confrontation or things to be shared, like, we weren't allowed to, like, it was very triggering to him. So I grew up in a household where it wasn't okay to work things out. If there was any conflict, it just ended and people didn't get to speak their mind. And there were times, pre-divorce, where you guys would have feelings. I wouldn't give you a sounding board to share, and which wasn't fair to you. It's kind of my way or the highway. I'm the man, which is such a shitty way to see things. But that's what was modeled for me. But then in that experience, it was such a beautiful experience, even though there was a lot of intention and emotion, to let you two work it out and to get space. You each took accountability for the role you played. You guys, I think, hugged at the end. You were still mad, but then it went away. It was done. And I think, as is life, it's like, and I want to empower you guys to have a voice, to use your voice, and also learning to respect each other's boundaries, and how that all works out. Again, that experience was again, it was a testament to me to going back to the circle of trust, right? And giving you the space to just be. Because what I want for you more than anything, and I believe you do this as well as any of your brothers, is you stepping into your authentic self. It's like, you just recently got your ears pierced. It's the clothing. It's the way you dress. I used to tease you over the years that you look like you were a homeless person. Yeah. You'd go shop, like thrift stores. And I'm like, dude, we have money. Why are you buying this shit? He's like, this is a vibe. This was $4. This was $8. And I'm like, okay. And it's just interesting, but it's like, you've just been you. And I would make comments like that, and you'd be like, you don't know what you're talking about, old man. And you just were you. And what's been so fun for me is, like, the more you have an incredible group of friends that support you, but you're yourself. And what's happening now in this new transition of your life is, like, you being you, not only with your friends, which is easy, you being even more you with your brothers. And then now, as you step into the public eye, it's a whole nother game.
Oh yeah.
It's a whole nother game, and even for me to come on here and do things and to step into this, knowing that people have opinions about me or whatever, Like it's uncomfortable, but it's also very freeing. And know this because I truly believe your clothing brand is going to be extremely successful. And the more success you get, the more eyes you have on you, the more haters you're going to have, the more people you're going to judge you, the more people that are going to like poke at you. And when you can take a step back, people that hate and, you know, I'm blown away by the keyboard ninjas that sit and just tear people down on social, you know, or say things. And the reality is most of those people would never dare to do it in person. But the reality is they're just projecting their own thing. You know, if you get to the root of it, they don't have the courage to do it. They don't have the mindset to be able to do it. And so rather than sit with the pain of themselves, they just project it onto other people.
Yeah.
And that's really kind of what judgment and everything is. And the more authentic you are and you don't get stung by what other people's opinions, like the more you're able to reinforce yourself as a man. And that's why I respect so much that you put that video out here recently, because it was vulnerable, it was real, it was raw. And the only way that someone can fortify themselves in stepping more into their authentic self is you will be presented with the opposite. You know, to not be fazed by other people's opinions only comes through being fazed by other people's opinions and then working through it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I have so much respect for you in that.
Yeah, thanks.
You know, one of the things I want to talk about is I saw a video here actually just yesterday, and it was talking about, you know, it's actually Mel Robbins had a gentleman on our podcast talking about siblings' experience with their parents. And he's like, every sibling's experience with their parents is different, you know? And I've thought about this, like my relationship with my dad is very different than my brother's. And, you know, over the years, as I've shared my experience, they can't even connect with it. You know, I was the oldest, I was the test child, you know, and I look at how I parent each and every one of you are very different, but you also, depending upon the seasons of life. So for example, Dominic at 17, 18 got a very different version of me than you did at 17 and 18, you know? And, you know, and I'll be open about this. You know, I was, you know, Cole and his brothers are extremely good rugby players. I've been in, you know, I played rugby in high school, college, back in the day. I've been very, very involved with it. You know, Dominic got to see me fully engaged in rugby the entire time from when he was 8 or 9 all the way up until he graduated from high school. Extremely engaged. You started, I was there, but for a large part of that experience, I wasn't. You know, and I've been thinking about talking about this because I want to bring this up, you know, because at that time I was going through a lot of pain in losing my investment firm and all the pain associated with that and going through that. And again, in a spirit, I was there trying to show up, but like even having the mental and emotional capacity to do so was, I couldn't do it, and I wanted to, but just to be able to show up that with all my own stuff. And again, you got projected, and you didn't get that experience of me like Dominic did. And I think we've talked a little bit about this time, and you would make comments and little pokes every once in a while. It's like, well, you weren't there for me for this, or you weren't there for me for this, you know? And I know it's all fun and games, but I also know there were some feelings that were there. And I want to apologize for that.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't, and I look at like where you and I are today. And I was literally this morning coming back from the gym with Dominic talking about this. And I'm like, you know what? Like, I feel like my relationship with Cole is developing to a completely different level than it's ever been, especially the last 6 months. I feel like we're closer, you know, and just being real raw and open. And one of the things I love about you is you're just so open with me. And again, it goes back to the circle of trust. Like we have, you can trust me that you can share whatever. And I feel like I can trust you and share whatever. The circle of trust goes both ways. Yeah. You know, and we don't agree all the time and we check each other, but I want you to know that still weighs on me. And, I love you so much, and I apologize that I wasn't able to show up for something that was so important to you during that time because of what I was going through.
Oh, well, thanks. I love you too. I think that it hurt in the moment, right? But I mean, after you've told me, because in the moment you hadn't
don't
told
know,
me, right? I was like, I don't know what's going on. But I mean, now that I know the whole story, it's like I completely understand. It's not something that I hold resentment for or anything.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. And we've talked through this, and I just like, I think, when I prepare for these, especially with you and my son, it's like, hey, what are we going to talk about? How we, and I think it's important to kind of share like all sides of the relationship, and understanding that. And it's like in my own darkness, and you don't know this because you're not a father, and you will be one day, and you'll be an incredible dad, but you'll start to see that, like, the truth is with parenting, I don't care how many books you read, you could, whatever experts you talk to, you learn on the job. Like, we don't know shit.
Yeah.
Truly. And I'm still figuring stuff out. I've never parented, I guess, you have a brother that's older, but like, you're 21. Like, our relationship is very different. It's very unique. You're a different, unique person. So what we're experiencing, even doing this podcast, it's new. Mm-hmm. Everything's new. So like, I don't know. Let's figure it out as we go.
I think that's the same for everything, though. It's like with my clothing brand, I could watch a million videos, but I truly won't understand something until I do it.
Yes, and I agree 100%. And you can't, and I'll take that even a step further, you can't truly know something unless you've experienced it. Mm-hmm. You can't know something unless you've actually gone through it. Otherwise, it's just a theory, or it's somebody else's belief and somebody else's experience. It's like, oh, if you do A, B, C, D, E, and F, work for them, that might not work for you.
Yeah.
That might not work for everything. So this idea that, like, my way or the highway, it's like, we're all just figuring this shit out, and, your mom and I are 7-8 years into a divorce. Like, we're still figuring that out. There's still things that come up, and like, there's still triggers. There's still things. There's still feelings, and we do the best that we can. And for any younger people listening to this, like, have grace for your parents. Like, none of us know. Like, we put our parents on pedestals, and it's like seeing what they've done or going through. But like, our mom and dad are, my parents are imperfect like anybody else, and I just think, like, again, coming back to the circle of trust of just being, I mean, you guys have seen me bawl my eyes out. You've seen every emotion. Like, I don't hold things back from you. I'm very transparent, and it's freeing, but I think it's brought us much closer to that. And I don't, again, in how we started this podcast and authenticity, like, I think it's, in order to be fully authentic, it's the good, the bad, the highs, the lows, you just share it all. And I just feel like our family has created a unit that's very, very safe to be whatever in any given moment.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, we could tell each other anything.
Yeah. And it's powerful. So one of the things I want to talk to you about too is, we were raised Mormon in the LDS church, right? You've chosen to not go through that. Like, I left the church, 9-10 years ago. How has that transition been for you? Like,
Leaving the church?
Yeah.
I mean, I was never really into it, right? It was almost a chore to go, right? There were some times where I was like, maybe I'm feeling it, but it's not, yeah, I don't know. I never connected with it. So then when you guys when you guys got divorced and kind of stopped going, I was like, all right. It's interesting though. I mean, being here in Utah, especially in holiday, it's super Mormon, right? So then comes the judgment from everybody, right? And all the rumors that maybe you've talked about on here. I don't know. I mean, other than that, a lot of judgment, I think. But I mean, personally, it was honestly a benefit.
Yeah. I mean, for you too, I don't think that, did you feel like society or community pressure to be in the church or to do certain things or show up a certain way?
For sure. Yeah. I think that, I mean, what, 70% of my high school was LDS, probably, something like that. Sure. I mean, there's judgment from everybody, right? And that affected me a lot in high school, right? I was really conscious about it and, wouldn't tell people some things, but I mean, now I guess it kind of just goes back to being authentic. It's like, as of now, if someone judges me, I don't care, Why would I ever take advice from somebody that's not in a place that I want to be? So, yeah.
Yeah, and I haven't talked about it on this. I'll share one of the rumors. This just came up a couple months ago with his younger brother. It's fascinating. Again, I'm sure this is the case in any community or where there's a tight knit, over concentration of any particular religion or religious belief. But since we were, live in a predominantly, or holiday specifically, more of a predominantly Mormon, community, there were rumors going through when I was going through the divorce that I was doing drugs with you and your brothers and all this different stuff, and everybody's talking, which was all bullshit. And I remember you had certain friends that were, literally grounded from my house. And I had to go sit in people's living rooms and like, this is bullshit. This is not real, and, some of the parents came along or kind of shifted and changed, but there was still there were still some that did never show up that had this story, and that was painful. That was really hard. And, regardless of the source of where it came from, it was directed towards me, but it also had a direct effect on you and your brothers and how people saw you. And literally 8 years later, there's still stories about this happening. And it's like, and at this point I'm like, oh my gosh, is this still a thing? And I actually called the mom that started this whole, that she was saying it to her kids and she denied it, but she's lying. And it's just fascinating that people like to talk about people. People like to talk shit. They have a story in their mind and they don't understand the consequences that has and how it shows up. And I told her, I'm like, listen, this is, you want to talk about me. None of it's real, first and foremost, but second, like it's affecting the reputation of my son.
Yeah.
And again, yes, when in a tight-knit community, there's a lot of gossip there. There's a lot of, religious projection and all the different things, but and I love that where you are today. It's like, nah, I'm good. You just recognize it.
Yeah.
But at the time that was painful.
Yeah. Well, it's crazy now. And even going back, like when this came up, like it drives me crazy that people will, make those assumptions or accusations to you without even asking any questions. And then they're just willing to spread it all like wildfire, Yeah.
I hate gossip.
Yeah.
And people like, I can't stand it. And if I participated over the years, for sure. It's rampant. That was one of the things that especially when I was really into Mormonism and doing that, going back 10 plus years, and we lived out in South Jordan, the community there. I mean, there was so much shit talk and gossip about this person doing this person. Everybody's in everybody's business. And anyway, and I think many times like a strong religious culture, Mormonism like cultivates that. I don't think it's necessarily part of the actual teaching, but the community itself actually does that. And and I'm disappointed that I participated at the same time, but now I can kind of see it, and it's like, listen, let everybody be who they want to be, and if you got a problem with it, like that's yours problem, not don't make, because you don't like something I'm doing or don't agree with something I say, like that has nothing to do with me. That has everything to do with you.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's dive into your clothing brand. So what drove you to want to do this?
Well, I mean, I kind of said this in my first video, but some backstory, I guess. So I was living in a house with my friends, like, I was there for like 8 or 10 months, maybe, working at the Cheesecake Factory, 45 hours a week. Right. And at the time
you were a damn good buster, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I hope I was good. But yeah, I did a semester of school and then I stopped going. And so I was just living there. I mean, partying a ton, right? Just smoking a ton of weed. One night I hit rock bottom. I was just going through it. I was like, what the hell am I doing with my life? And reality kind of hit me. And then after that, I was like, what am I going to do? Right? I'm not working at the Cheesecake Factory for the next 20 years. Like, this is not an option. And I mean, I've always loved clothes, like you mentioned, right? I've always had my own style. Get a lot of compliments on my outfits. I'm like, dude, why not? And what kind of stopped me too is there are so many people that start clothing brands that are just trying to make quick cash, and it's like, so many people are doing this. And that honestly held me back for a long time. But then I was like, fuck it, you know? And I got an iPad, started designing stuff. Took me a while. I ended up going out to California, sold pest control for 4 months, came back, and I started ordering samples, right? And I went through, I don't know, maybe like 5 orders, right? And every order takes, months to get here. So that, a lot of failed samples, something I didn't like, wrong designs. And then within the last couple of months, one of them hit, and I'm like, oh, this is it. So what I did, and mind you, this whole time I'm struggling with money, right? Because I did pest control, and then I came back, and I've been selling roofs with Dom, which I wasn't super consistent in. And then once the samples came back and they were good, I just threw it on my Amex. I was like, let's go. Sent all the money. And then, right now I've got a bunch of debt, right? I'm kind of just betting it all on this. And this goes back to knowing, like, I know this is going to succeed. It's just a matter of time. But also I think that having all that debt, like all my credit cards racked up, it's putting some fire under my ass. Like, it's go time, right? And that's a big driving factor too. But I guess just going back, like, I know exactly how I want this to be executed, right? And I just see it. It's a vision. It's a knowing. So all I'm doing right now, it's like, we've talked about this a little bit, just working day by day, staying super consistent, and it's just a matter of time. But yeah.
I love it. And as you've stepped into this, and again, you're taking risks, you're using credit cards, you're doing stuff. It's like, and one of the things I encourage you, which you did in your first video, is like, talk about it, share the journey. Like, we put people on pedestals, right? Oh, they, overnight success, or they were lucky, or this or that. And it's like, no, man, you earned this shit.
Yeah.
And it's like, again, 21, okay, I'm doing this. What? I haven't got the cash, put it on a credit card. And then it's like, and then working your ass off. And I've just watched you literally transform, and the discipline comes back to discipline for me, and how consistent you've been in being in your daily routine and hitting the gym and eating healthy and waking up, not hanging out with friends as much, working through the weekends, and just, going and crushing it and getting the roofs and doing the stuff that you need there to get the cash flow that you need to do. And then spending time on building your clothing brand. And like, it's been inspiring to watch. Literally, I've watched you transform over the last 6 months as you've stepped into this, and it's inspiring, but it's rooted in discipline. And again, you've got the vision, you've got your purpose, and it's like, what are you willing to do? And I'm looking at you like, oh, he wants it. Mm-hmm. It's one thing to say, I'm going to do it. It's another to actually step into that. And as you've experienced over the last several months, like, it's not for the faint of heart. It's scary as shit. Yeah. It's uncomfortable. Anxiety, the emotions. It's like, there's parts of you that wants to check out. There's parts of you that get scared. There's parts of you that want to crawl into a cave and like, fuck, deer in headlights. Yeah. But you're doing it.
Yeah.
And just so much respect. And again, if you want it, I believe anything's possible. You hear me say this all the time. Like, you can be who you want or have what you want, no matter what. Doesn't matter how old you are, but and the only difference between somebody that makes it and doesn't is the person that makes it is willing to do something that the person that hasn't has not been willing to do. Mm-hmm. And there's an asterisk to that for anybody. It's like, up to this point, and it's a choice.
Yeah.
And you've made a choice, and you're like, I'm sure part of you like, what the hell have I signed up for? But it's like,
yeah.
But you're doing it, and you're so close to seeing this launch, and it's like, and I know you're going to crush it. And then as it launches, we've talked about this, like, you're going to hit another road bump. You're going to hit another road bump. You're going to be another deer in headlights. And the more you grow, you'll have different problems and different challenges.
Yeah.
But like, you're fortifying this base right now and what's happening. And again, I would say this now, it's like you have a different level of confidence and a different level of knowing of who you are and what your potential is. And you're proving to yourself as you step out into that.
Oh yeah.
And again, you figuring out how this all works at 21, when there are men in their 40s, 50s, 60s, sometimes never actually do that. And it's sad. And that's why so many people lead to addiction. limiting beliefs, feeling not enough, lack of worthiness. And it's like, you're doing it. And what I would say two sides of the coin. One, it's like, you're not special from that perspective because you're just putting it out, but yet you are special and you are unique because you're actually doing it. Mm-hmm. That's the differentiator. It's the action.
Yeah, for sure. I think, just tying into that too, like like I mentioned before, you can't truly understand something until you do it. And same with the clothing brand. I'm like, all right, it should be easy enough. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, like so much work and so many things that I'm like, based on my past, I'm not good at. And like I mentioned, I'm a bad student, right? I can't even remember an assignment that I didn't cheat on. And then in order to do all this clothing stuff, right, you have to go and design the website, do all the little operator things. And I guess I had a limiting belief in my mind that like, that's not me. But then when I've really put 100% effort into it and gone and done something and complete it, then it's just like, oh, hell yeah. Like that's a win. And it's just gaining my confidence that much more. And it's just stacking the wins, and it makes the vision even clearer.
Base hits, baby. Yeah. Base hits. Yeah. One day at a time. So where do people find we'll put it in the show notes, but what's your website?
Website is 04official.com.
The numbers, so 04official.com.
04official, yep. And then all the socials are elevated by 04.
And what's your favorite tagline?
Favorite tagline?
I gotta plug mine, but
taglines move different. I know what you're gonna say. I'll let you share it.
Yeah, as we were going through taglines, like one of his is like soft on skin, heavy on energy. And when he said that, it was one of those moments where I'm like, oh hell yeah, that hits hard. To me, if I had a mic, I would have handed it to him and he would have just dropped it. But yeah, dude, you're a vibe, man. And I just like it's not easy to come on a podcast and share some of the things you just shared. And I just want to tell you how much I look up to you and I'm so inspired by you. And like, I love you so goddamn much. And I'm just so grateful that I get a front row seat to this, and I know obviously I've had an influence in your life because I'm your father, but like you're doing this, like I'm not. And I'm just so proud of you. And you're not only setting an example for me, but your brothers, but for many people about what's possible. And I know it's going to be extremely successful. And this is his first podcast, and this will definitely not be the last. And you're going to see a lot of this man. You're going to see this clothing brand bring up here. And you heard it first here on the 50th episode of the Burn Up Podcast. Thanks for being here.
Yeah,
I love you. I'm grateful for you. And this next year is going to be incredible for you, for our entire family.
Of us.
Big time. That's right.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you so much for being with us today. We'll see you next time on the next Burn Up Podcast.